You're watching Drake Wing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Nary here from Drake Wing Gaming. It's me on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you another Let's Play episode of Violet Memoir. If it sounds like I'm eating something, it's because I absolutely am. One second, y'all. There we go. Chips. Delicious chips. Anyway, y'all, let's go ahead and jump right back in, shall we? We are on Lucas's path, trying to escape that blistering inferno, and let's jump right back in. The music starts up. I love the music. My lungs are burning and I'm beginning to feel dizzy. I'm not sure if it's from the smoke or the heat or both, but regardless, we need to get out of here before one of us passes out. It'll make everything much worse. We rush around a corner, my tail clipping one of the flames on the wall in our haste. A surge of pain pulses through my body, but it doesn't catch fire, thankfully. It looks like there's another door at the end of this hallway, and unlike the previous one, there's no smoke like before. In fact, it doesn't look like there's any fire at all through the window. There, just a little bit further. Despite all my attempts at being reassuring or hopeful, I'm barely able to get the words out between my gasping breaths. Everything's going hazy and I'm struggling to focus on what's right in front of me. Then everything spins and I fall against Lucas, who's barely able to catch me without the two of us tumbling into a flaming pile of embers. Wallace? Wake up! Hold on! Please hold on! His voice sounds so far away, but the fear and panic in it is palpable. It's so hard to focus. It's like a cloud has covered my brain, living on the sight of Lucas's tearful face in front of me. Why is Lucas so worried? I wish he'd be as peaceful as he looked at the library on Wednesday. He looks so handsome in the sunshine. This is going to hurt a lot. Why did you pass out now? He sounds upset, but why? Is something? Then I smash right into a brick wall, or at least it feels like one. It causes the dizziness to twist into a roaring headache, and I'm plunged into darkness. The last sound I hear is a familiar, distant giggling. Kid, come on, you gotta get up. The voice is barely able to pierce the screaming inside my skull. It feels like someone is smashing cymbals against the sides of my skull. Don't be so loud, a little longer, please. I can get some water if you want. That'll wake him up real quick. That isn't the same person who just spoke before. Her voice doesn't sound as deep, but it's smooth like rich milk chocolate. We're not splashing water on him. If he needs to rest, then we'll let him. You can carry him. Put all that muscle to use other than flexing for guys at clubs. The outburst is loud and sends an angry pulse beyond my eyeballs. The lingering silence afterwards is the only thing stopping my brain from exploding. Yeah, sorry, I was just trying to lighten. A groan croaks out of my throat, interrupting the voice with an awful, hoarse sound that makes it sound like I haven't drank anything in days. Oh my gosh, Wallace, how are you feeling? We're gonna get some cute art? Oh, not yet, okay. This voice sounds much different than the rest, more feminine. My eyes open, but I'm unable to make out any details beyond a fuzzy blur of color. Everything looks like an unfocused camera. But I am able to make out the shape of three figures. Two of them are leaning over me while the third is standing above me, his large frame distinct from the others. There's someone missing, though. I heard a fourth voice, too. Where is he? My vision begins to clear, and I'm able to make out that the figures directly above me are Lee and Lily, both of them looking down at me in worry. Oscar's standing next to me, a reassuring smile across his face and a caring warmth to his eyes. What's going on? Did I pass out again? I had another... A spike of dull pain stings through my neck as I try to pull myself up. My whole body feels stiff as a board, and even moving my arm causes my shoulder to ache. Lee squats further and wraps an arm around me, hoisting me up to my feet with only a moderate amount of painful groaning. And I see we're in a hospital hallway. We're still in that same demented hospital, but it's not on fire anymore. Was that part of a dream? Did any of that time with... Wait, where's Lucas? Is he okay? I'm fine, don't worry. The voice is coming from close to the floor, and I look down to see Lucas sitting against a wall, knees up with his face buried within them. His amber eyes are staring back into my own, and I can see the remnants of tears around them. My feet just hurt like shit after all that running. The fire really happened? Lucas just nods, then I see it. Little burnt parts on his clothes and the singed areas of his fur. It's nothing serious, at least. Pretty sure all the fur damage would come out with just a simple shower and brushing. I checked myself to the same kind of damage through my clothes and fur. The tip of my tail looks especially dark. That's going to take a more serious amount of grooming to deal with. Maybe Aura and Lucas had some tips. I'm about to ask more questions, but Lee grabs my face, twisting my head around to check every possible piece of fur. It's not painful or rough, but it feels incredibly embarrassing. He's smooshing my cheeks together hard enough that I can't even move my mouth properly to talk. Lee must have noticed my predicament and tries to clear up any confusion. He was doing the same for Lucas when me and Oscar found you guys. Looks like you two got the worst of it. Finally, the possum pulls away, but he doesn't look pleased. He's got a stern look in his eyes, but there's no anger or annoyance directed at anyone in the room. You look fine. You might have a mild concussion, but you should be fine. Just keep someone around in case you faint. Alright, that's a good start. That's good at least. I take a shaky step, my body still feeling sore after all the running and impact I felt before losing consciousness. After I'm sure I'm not going to fall into a pathetic heap, I stumble towards Lucas and take a seat next to him. Lily takes a step to come over, but Lee grabs her arm, tugging her towards Oscar and giving the two of us some space. He gives me a nod, and I can only mouth a thank you in response. You doing okay? No, we almost died in a fire. I thought you did die. His voice is shaky, and I can tell he's trying to hold himself back from breaking out into something. Whether that's rage, lashing out, or crying, I'm not sure. I'm okay. We'll get out of there. Promise? I promise. I know we will. You think Lee will let anything hurt us? That causes him to lift his head up, edges of his mouth twitching into a smile. It's small and fragile, but it's enough to relax the tension in my chest. I doubt it. He's trying to look out for us, and I'm glad they're all here. Even Oscar. I think that's the first time I heard you say his name. He contemplates that and looks at the floor, a look of sadness and remorse in his eyes. That probably wasn't the time to say that. I didn't... They're good people. I've never really had any head friends before, and I'm still unsure about them, especially with how much they ruin my schedules, but I do enjoy being around them. His eyes meet mine, and there's that twitching at the edge of his mouth again, a smile trying to break through all the fear and dread. I try to reach an arm around his shoulders to comfort him, but as soon as I try, he turns and thrusts himself towards me, changing it into a full-on embrace. Not that I mind. There's silence between us as we sit against the wall, arms around each other. Despite everything that's happening, this still makes my cheeks flush, but the way his hands relax against my back makes it all worth it. We sit there in silence. No words needed. Outside of the distant chatter from our friends, the only sounds I can hear are the little wisps of Lucas's light breathing and the thunderous sound of our combined heartbeats. But we can't just sit here forever. I pull myself away, and for a moment, I don't think Lucas is going to let me go, his claws digging into my shirt, but he gives up after a second and slides back against the wall. I push myself back to my feet and waddle over to the rest of our group, all eyes watching me, excluding Lucas, who's just staring at the ceiling. He's lost in his own thoughts, but he looks significantly better than moments ago. I don't know how you're able to do that. Do what? Getting Lucas to calm down like that. I always try, but the best I can do is stop him from getting too out of control, but you're always able to get him to relax. I think I know why. The smirk on Oscar's face is telling enough. It's telling enough that he doesn't even try to continue his sentence, but he does give an exaggerated waggle to his eyebrows. He just relates to him more. You two are loud. Oh, what about you then, Mr. Barely Speaks? Lee looks at the ground at that, his eyes in focus as he seriously ponders about that question. It might be something he's thought about before. It makes sense to ask. Neither of them are very social, but they don't get along well. Lucas told me why back in his apartment, but I don't think he'd appreciate telling everyone about that. It felt personal and private. I think he's warming up to you guys. I just think it's all overwhelming to him. What happened to you guys? Lee and Oscar both look at Lily, waiting for her to start. The consequences of taking a leadership role. Everyone expects you to walk on ahead. She rolls her eyes dramatically, but she isn't able to hide the smile that crawls onto her face. Normally I'd think it's weird to smile in a situation like this, but she looks more relieved that everyone's alright and being genuinely happy. Oscar and I were in the emergency room, but everything was locked up. Oscar wanted to smash the door open, but I told him that we'd have to find the rest of you first. So we've been running around trying to find signs of anyone. It was nothing. Just doing what I do best. Compared to what you guys went through, a light jog's a breeze. This is serious. You can't just treat this like a day in the park. These harsh words and firm tone sounds unusual coming out of his mouth. He's hard on Oscar, but never like this. His entire body is tense, but he looks like he'd shatter if I touch him. I must have noticed all of us looking at him because his shoulders sag and he rubs a hand across his face. This whole situation must be getting to him. Sorry, you did great, Oscar. Thank you for keeping her safe. It's no problem, man. Lee straightens his back and adjusts his top, dust falling off and forming a cloud around us. Everyone coughs and waves their hands away frantically, trying to get all the dirt away from their faces. Not much really happened where I was. Place was barely keeping together. I wouldn't stay long and tempt fate. Good thing, too, or else I wouldn't have found you two. Kid, you look near dead, and Lucas looked like he was about to have a meltdown. Jesus Christ. Just keep an eye on him, alright? We should get going. I found a stairwell that no one else came from while we waited for you to wake up. Lee walks past us, signaling for us to follow with a nudge of his head. Oscar doesn't waste a beat in following him, but Lily comes over and whispers into my ear, "For real estate." Can you get Lucas? I'd love to help, but he's been a bit rattled, and he's more comfortable when it's just you two. Alright. I walk over to Lucas to explain, but he just pulls himself to his feet, ready to head off. Must be those ears. He probably heard everything. Let's get out of here, together. He only nods, but makes no motion to follow the group. I'm a little confused until I figure out why. He's waiting for me, so he can follow along. Come on, the others are waiting. I put an arm around his shoulder, hiding a wince of pain that stabs through me, and tug him along as we head towards the others. They've stopped moving and are just waiting for us to catch up now. It's only a couple of steps because Lucas is able to move on his own again. He's still rattled, but he's doing significantly better. He's even back to his usual scowl. I'm not sure I'm at the level yet, but I'm not sure I'm at that level yet, but more than anything, I'm just happy to be alive and reunited with everyone. We'll be out of here in no time. Sorry if I'm fudging the words a little bit, y'all. I'm really tired. Working most of the day and then emotional support for after I got off, a little bit after I got off. It could take a lot out of you. I think we're on the first floor of wards. Look, each of the room numbers start with 1. I think that's our floor number. Each of them are locked, though. They've never been locked at the hospital I've been to. To emphasize her point, Lily grabs the nearby door handle to room 128 and pulls, putting her entire weight behind it. Despite the sliding door rattling, it doesn't budge at all. That's a better sign than nothing at all like the doors on the floor I woke up on. Probably closed it when this place shut down. No reason to keep them open, you know? It makes logical sense, and there's nothing particularly wrong with it, but something about it feels like we're missing a piece of the puzzle. Everything about this place is so strange, and it feels closer to a fun house. Through the small window in the door, I can barely make out the dark room. There's a few objects of note, but only one catches my eye. A picture of a small boy on the beach with the words, "Tomorrow could always be a brighter day." It's a general motivational poster, but it brings a sinking feeling to my stomach. I'm not entirely sure why, but there's something about that poster that feels like it's causing bile at the back of my throat. Guys, look, there's an exit sign over there. That's gotta lead to a way out. It's a welcome interruption from Oscar, pointing ahead towards a distant faint green sign hanging from the roof in the distance. It should be lit up, but the bulb that's kept it lit is likely blown over time. The rest of our group looks excited, and that distracts them enough to not see how sickly my complexion has become. It'll pass soon enough. Always does. Our group follows the otter, who's trying to contain himself from running off ahead. It looks like even he understands this isn't the time to be messing around. Even when he's excited to do something fun, he wasn't this antsy. This place is getting to everyone. There's only so much you can stare at peeling paint. And decrepit walls before it starts to dig into your brain. 1 second, y'all. I'll drink some water real quick. There we go. Okay. I'm shuffling past a bench as something catches my eye. On the corner of the seat between the back and arm rail is a little brown teddy bear holding a big heart with the words, "Love to be held" written on it. The whole thing looks aged and well loved, like someone had slept with it for many years. I'm sure being left in this environment didn't do it much favors. I wonder who left you here. There's something about a child's plushie being left to rot in a place like this that's so incredibly heartbreaking. I can only hope they forgot about it because they were so overwhelmed with relief instead of despair or worse. I wonder if Lucas owned a teddy bear like this. Something tells me he's the type who'd enjoy them. He doesn't show it, but from his reaction to our hug last night, he's a lot more inclined for physical affection than his interaction with Oscar would let on. Maybe I should get him one sometime. I feel like Ara would know a good idea of what he'd like. I should get his number off Lucas and get in contact. Checking up on the group, I can see they're only a few feet in front of me with Oscar heading up the back. Lucas keeps taking peeks behind him, catching my eye as he does before swiftly looking away. I guess he's still really jumpy after what happened. That's understandable. It was pretty horrific. I'm just trying to ignore it as much as I can and just focus on getting out of here. I've been hanging back for long enough, though. I should catch back up and check up on him. Lee's keeping an eye on him from the looks of it, but I don't think they interact the best from what I've seen. I'm only able to take a couple strides towards the group when a giggle freezes me in place. A very horrifically familiar giggle that can only belong to a child. Rolling around, there's no one behind me. Nothing. It's just the empty hallway with no indication of that anyone's been here. Except, the teddy bear's missing from the bench, leaving it barren and empty with only dust remaining. It makes me feel more hollow and colder than anything else so far, and I back away, my steps accelerating as I nearly run back to the group. Thankfully, it doesn't take me more than a couple of seconds to reunite with the group. I'm barely able to stop myself from running into Oscar, but I'm able to weave around him to the middle of the group. The last place I want to be right now is hanging around the back. I take another peek, but there's no one behind Oscar, who is looking at me with a curious expression and even takes his own look behind him. Spooked? Yeah, this place is getting to me. I think it's getting to Grumpy, too. He keeps looking behind him like someone's planning on yoinking him up from behind. Or he's worried about you. He gives me a wink as if I'm supposed to know what he's thinking. It's best not to try to dissect what he's implying and just focus on calming myself down. After all, I'd probably just imagined the whole thing. I didn't even touch the bear. You're staring off into space. Instead of Oscar's smooth voice, I'm left jumping at Lucas's higher pitch rings directly into my ear. Talk about no concept of personal space, and I deal with Oscar. Hey, yeah, I think I'm seeing things. I just want to get out of here before other crazy stuff happens. This place is trying to fucking kill us. I want to get out of here as fast as possible. Now that surprise is dissipated, I'm able to notice that none of us are moving anymore. We're all just standing in the middle of this hallway. Lily and Oscar are investigating a door while Lee's leaning against a wall and watching all of us. He gives me a nod before turning his attention to the other two. Why have we stopped? I think Lily found something about that door. I think it's bullshit. We should just keep going, but she's adamant that something's up with it. Looking over Lucas, he's not as jumpy as I expected him to be, but there's definitely a tension tightly winding his muscles, like he's still got the lingering effects of adrenaline in his system. His eyes are focusing intensely on me, but it's like he's not really seeing me, just trying to keep his attention on anything but the situation we're in. Are you doing okay? Of course I'm not fucking doing okay. We almost got burnt alive. He takes a deep breath before shakily letting his out, tears welling his eyes. I'm about to say something to comfort him, but he steps forward and wraps his arms around me in a hug, reminding me of our promise yesterday. Alright, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Leave a super thanks. Or if you can, it always helps. Until the next video, I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.